Welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. Isn't this just amazing? Look at this. I'll let the music play for just a little bit while I'm getting my tea ready. Right. Let's turn this music down and have it in the background. I'll say about there. So at least you can hear it. All right, everybody, look at this. Like I was saying to you these past few days, to look out for this area here, and look, so far, my predictions so far are not been too bad. The probabilities is what we always go by. Nobody's perfect. There's going to be times where I'm going to get it wrong, and hopefully that will be, that's not hopefully, but that should only be about 25% of the time. But this is our weekly candle. As you can see, it's in that area and still bouncing off that white line. I do have a Telegram group, link in the description below. Remember, this is not financial advice. Please do your own research before you invest your money in any of these trades. I'm not trying to get you to trade. I'm just trying to educate and show you an easier way, simplifying things of everything that I've learned over the last 4 years. Right, so I've added some liquidation levels, as you can see here. Obviously, these are what was there before, which is big liquidation levels, a few $1 billion sitting between the 102 and the 98k region. A lot of money sitting there, and also a lot of money sitting there coming down to the 89k region. Quite a bit to tap into if the market makers wish to do so, which, if I'm honest with you, I do believe is actually probability wise the most obvious thing that could happen. They want to entice shorts. They want people to start shorting. Have I shorted? Yes, I have. I've shared this in my Telegram group, link in the description below. It's a new Telegram group now, Wealthwise. Go and check it out, link in the description below. I've put this trade in there. I've opened this trade on Blowfin. Like I said, I love Blowfin. And yes, on this is the hourly candles. It's racked up its higher high here. That's what 1, 2, 3, 4 higher highs have been printed using this indicator. I do like this indicator. It's actually pretty good. I've also got a trend cloud going on in here on my special indicator. I was lucky to be able to get with all of my research, which I'm not allowed to share. Can only be shared by the person who created it. Right, so this is the BTC short I've put in. It's on a 20x, and I want to ride this baby down to the 89k level, where these beautiful liquidation levels are sitting. That will give me, on a 20x leverage, 400% return on my money. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm going to hold this baby. I've even got, like I said, I like to add 10% going the other way. If it hits up here, it will add to my short, which will double my margin. Remember, you only really invest 2.5% to 3% of your capital. You don't put any more than that. It's not financial advice. Remember that. Right. So how are we looking? Oh, I hate it when it does that. The US S&P 500 decided to dip yesterday. It came down to 5847. Like I said, we were waiting to see what would be around this area. which is what I've created on the weekly. And it's not going to load. This is fantastic. Going really well. I'm going to wait for that to load. I'm going to move right on. How did that affect the rest of them? Why are you doing this to me? Store connection. Thanks. Maybe that's what I should have just done. How does it affect the rest of the market? As you can see here on the daily, on the NASDAQ, the NVIDIA has come down. It's not going to make its way up here, but pre-market is up. Pre-market always goes normally in different directions most of the time. They try to bring you in on a false sense of security. But as you can see, it's coming down, and it's closed that tiny little gap that was here, as you can see. But there's plenty more gaps to fill on the daily. Let me mark these gaps out. There's one here, and there's one here. There's also one here as well, and one here. So like I said, as you can see in my predictions, the likelihood is it's going to come down to these levels and retest this tiny support area. Could it smash through? Yeah, of course it could. That's why you keep an eye on it. So could it make its way up here? It really depends on what the S&P 500 does and what the US stock market wants to do. But from what I can see, it looks like it's starting to do a reversal. No, this doesn't want. I'm going to have to refresh the page. Oh, I hate having to refresh the page. Yes, reload. There we go. There we are. Got a weekly red candle. Let's go back to the daily. Embarrassing again. See, I changed my internet provider. Right. So yesterday. This. Oh, this is showing Thursday. It's obviously pre-market S&P 500. Yesterday was Wednesday, and as you can see, it was a pure red candle that dropped itself down, and it's retesting this area here, which is the bullish, as I call it, is our little channel here. Like I said, it's most likely to come down because we've got some nice gaps below here that it needs to fill. Like I said, the likelihood of it hitting up here again, it's a 50-50. It really was a 50-50 probability. We're looking at that area. We've now got a red candle on the Tuesday, red candle on the Wednesday, green candle on the Monday. So keep an eye out for this to see how it reacts around this area here. Now for me, if it bounces off here, then we probably are most likely going to retest this area here. It is definitely one to watch. If it breaks below, because again, we have some daily gaps here, that need filling. So if it does come down, bounces off here, and doesn't get back above this channel, then I will definitely open my short, and I'd like to ride it down to here, which means I'll close whatever trades I've got in profit and move the money over to a new trade. Johnny trades I'm definitely got to keep is silver and palladium. I'll probably add some money to my funds there so I can take this trade out on a US S&P 500. Right, now, very important. Oh, whoops. Very important. Today, we have got the FTSE 100s opened up today at 8 a.m. hour my time. As you can see, it pretty much dived, which is pretty much diving on the 1 hour chart. Let's flip back to the daily. There we go. It's bounced off of here, like I mentioned, beautifully. It has got some nice little daily gaps to fill. Up here, one there. And do we have any more gaps to fill? Oh yes, we do. We've got a big gap down here. Any more gaps to fill? Another one. Blimey. FTSE 100's got a few gaps going on down here, which means this is the iShares FTSE 100, which gives us a good indication of direction. There we go. There's a few gaps to fill on its way down to this level here. Don't have any other levels underneath. Wow, this is definitely an area of support on the daily. How we're looking on the weekly. I love the weekly charts. It gives us a bit more of a clue about where we're at. Right, so there we are. We're on resistance. We've bounced off of it. So we have area of support here on the weekly here as well, which goes back to some resistance areas. Could really come down to these areas here. Ooh, tiny gap here on the weekly, sitting around 587. Would it go down here? Do you know what? It could. And why do I say that? Because at the moment we're in a bull market. Can't keep going up forever. It's gonna retrace down. We look at this retrace from here all the way down, boom, down to here in 2020. Yes, it was COVID, whatever. Yeah, that's fine. But if you look at this one here in 2014 down to 2016, so these are possibilities. So let's go back to the daily chart. We want to keep an eye on this because it's proper bounced off there quite nicely, and here's the support areas. Ultimately looking at it to come down to this level here to test this level, and ultimately come down to here as a nice, what I would call a healthy retrace. Close all these gaps and then continue back up, and maybe it could push past this. Let's see how the bull market goes. Very important. How's the Dixie doing? Restore connection. How is the Dixie doing? It's here. It's still filtering around here. This is the weekly chart. Still messing around there on the weekly. On the daily, it's just come underneath on the daily, as you can see here, underneath this this line here for support. Let's see how it rocks. If it comes down a little bit more, then people are definitely buying. On the daily, the stochastic RSI is also aiming down, which means it probably will be a little bit more buying power. Like I said, this S&P 500 coming down, which is a bit strange, but Dixie is coming down. S&P 500 should really be going up. But as a daily, that's today, is saying that people are starting to sell back into their US dollar. And it started yesterday. As you can see here, we have a wick, which probably explain actually why the S&P 500 has gone down. Right, update on my trades. Look at that, beautiful. Still waiting for this level here. I'm going to see how it reacts here. This is obviously on the weekly. These are long-term trades when it comes to commodities, forex. You know, unless you're using big leverage, it's not really worth playing on the daily. You could lose more on the daily. Look at it more of a long-term play. Palladium, store connection, drink my tea. Started to retrace a little bit. That's okay. I'm really not worried. This is the level I'm looking at here because it's normal. It's normal for it to come up and down, up and down. Had a nice couple of days yesterday. Boom, boom. And obviously it's gonna have a natural retrace. Probably print a higher high here. As long as it doesn't come down below this level here, then we're still on the daily, got a higher low. Not quite happy with that. That's fine. Palladium, I'm looking for the long term. I am not closing this baby. Let's have a look at the China automotives. And this had a good day. Where are we? This is the weekly, sorry. So I like to look on the weekly because it gives me an overall picture of where we're at. So yesterday it did have a slight retrace, but it bounced straight back up again. If you can see that, I might have to just zoom in a little bit. There we go. As you can see on the daily, did have a slight retrace, and then a nice little wick to say no, there is still some buying power with this stock. I'm really happy with that. This one I see going to the $5 region, and if it passes that region, we are going back up here. I'm going to take profits at this level, like I said. See how it reacts. If it bounces off, I'll happily re-enter a lower entry, and then ride it back up and see how it goes around this area. That's how you trade. Don't marry your stocks. Don't marry your tokens. Don't marry anything. You buy in the red, you sell in the green. Simple as that. On the daily, stochastic RSI is showing that there could be more of a pullback coming. But that's okay. I'm happy with that. That is absolutely normal. Silver. It's the weekly. Let's move back to the daily for you. As you can see, yesterday was a nice green day. Today it is showing green, slight pullback. Let's see what it does. Is it likely to do a higher low? I'm happy with that. Silver, I'm in it for the long run. I want it to eventually go up to here, and I'll be taking my profits, no problems on that one. US yield government bonds. It is very important to look at as well. This gives you an idea, because remember, when this goes up, there's buying power, and it comes down, it's selling power. And at the moment today, so far, it's coming down. I'll probably explain again why there's a bit of a retrace. Now, those quantum computers, look at that. It bounced off of this area. It still hasn't come back up. It's not going to test this at the moment. I think it's likely to close this gap down here. If I'm really going to predict this, and I'm going to draw this in, it's probably got to come here, close this, maybe bounce off this area here, and then make its way back up, retest in this area here, and then up on this area here. And that's where I think is likely to penetrate, because at the end of the day, it needs to cover this gap fill here. So I'm going to draw a circle in. Always forget to change it to the X. This area here needs filling. Okay, remember that it likes to gap fill. If it goes too far, it doesn't always gap fill. Okay, let's be honest with you, it doesn't always fill the gaps. Remember that. It can just continue because it likes to keep you guessing. But as it looks, RSI is at the top on the daily. This is only a small gap. I think it's likely to do that. Retest these lower areas. Make you think it's going down, and then reverse it. That's my prediction, and I'm sticking with it. Obviously, bearish scenarios, if we lose this support area, because it's been a support 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, then the bearish scenarios, it can penetrate this and come down to these levels here, because there's a tiny little gap to fill here. It could come down to these other support levels here. So I'm going to put the support level in there. Is it likely to go down there? I honestly, do you know what? I really don't think so. I really don't think so. And this is only a tiny gap here. I honestly, I don't think so, because it would have really at some point here filled these gaps. But at this moment in time, not until the proper bear market comes. I honestly don't see it coming down here. I'm going to mark this in green. I'll mark this in a different color, blue. That I think it's unlikely to come down. I mean, that's really a 10% chance. 10% chance. That's the quantum computer we were looking at yesterday. Now, Rigetti computing, there's a lot of things going on in computing. You've really got to look out for these. When it come down to these levels here, this is like going back to, let's get rid of this, going back to like last year. It could do, but like I said, it's had what, 1, 2, 3, 4 goes on this support level. It could come down again and hit it. Let's see if there's any gaps to fill on the daily. No gaps to fill on the daily at all, but it's having a bounce off of this resistance area that was a beautiful support here, but then lost, so it become a resistance. It's coming down. Pre-market showing an uptrend, but like I said, look out for the US market. Probably won't particularly do what you think it's going to do. Right. Moving on. This is one that I gave you yesterday as a trade. As you can see, it's on the pre-market. It's bouncing up a bit. Like I said, it's normal, but look at the RSI. It's quite high up. Big volume on the sell, and it did come down to this level here from when I said let's put this in and see what happens. I haven't changed it. It's still the same. I didn't have the funds myself, but that's fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show this as a level of resistance now and see how that fares. Okay, because this is literally an all-time high from what I can. Was it an all-time high? Yeah, it's an all-time high for the D-Wave Quantum, which is the symbol QBTS. If I had the funds, I would have taken this, but like I said, I'm not worried. There's another chance to get in. I could probably long it from here, or if it penetrates this area here, which was very small resistance, so could come back down here. Watch this level, like I've circled, see how it reacts. It's something you look at long term. You don't go jumping in and FOMOing into stuff, if you know what FOMO means. S&P mini futures, which pretty much looks the same as the S&P 500. Not really sure why I've got this in here, to be fair. But it's the CME, has the gaps in there like we saw on the S&P 500 anyway. Not really sure why I've got that on there. So moving on, Robinhood. Now remember I said this was a potential short, and it's bounced off there yesterday and formed a wick from the yesterday end of play. Now at the moment it's a pre-market up. This is a very big resistance area here. It's a double resistance, hence why there's two lines. We have on the daily some gaps here to fill on the way down. One here, change that to green. There's another one here. So likelihood is it's going to come down to, let's see what potential levels could be. So this area could be a level. It's not much of a level, to be fair. It's like 1, 2 bounces, 3, 4. Yeah, it could be a level right there. There's a gap here, so we could have a gap down here too. Oof. Which, think about it, probably more of a resistance there right at the beginning of that gap. Got a gap down here as well, which was formed back in November last year. Could it come down to these levels? It could. It could. Robinhood could, because it's pretty much double topped. So the likelihood of it coming down, it's a possibility. It's definitely more of a possibility. Like I said, if I had the funds in my account, I would definitely be shorting this baby. Because look at this, stochastic RSI, or I call this the stock momentum indicator. I find better than stochastic RSI. It's being quite overbought, as they call it. It's quite high up, so it's due a retrace down, definitely on the daily. It's one to look out for. If I was to open a trade, I'd probably most likely go for this area here and put in my addition around the 10% like I like to do. I'll probably trail this down to the support area here, which is pretty much a 45% move. Even if you get to this bit here, close the first gap, 23% under your belt. But yeah, if I had the funds in there at the moment, this one I would definitely be going for. Moving on. Target Corporation, remember we spoke about this yesterday. It's looking like it's bounced yesterday, but look at the wick. Yesterday did leave a gap to fill here, so probably we'll refill this today, which is a likelihood. And also it could be, let's see, shoulder, head, a messy inverse head and shoulders could be formed here, but very messy, very messy. In fact, probably not, but could say this is a bullish move. We shall see. But like I said, I probably wouldn't go in on this until it's come down here. The stochastic RSI momentum indicator is still showing downward momentum. Pre-market is underneath. Yeah, we can't really go by pre-market, but if I was to do it long, I'd be longing it from these areas here. Because that was a gap here, was it? Ooh, not quite filled that gap. There's a little bit more to go on that one there. You've got a gap up here that needs filling. And you've got, that's not a gap there. Got this gap that still needs filling. It hasn't quite filled it yet. So there are areas to take profits on Target Corporation. So it pretty much is bottoming out here. Like I said, I mean, say, oh, probably unlikely to come down. It could still come down to these levels because look, you know, it has come down. I mean, from here, looking at March last year, in a year, it's just been bouncing around and on its way down. So this is one to look for a nice long. Hopefully I'll have funds when this time comes and I'll be able to jump right into it. So keep an eye on Target Corporation. How is the oil looking? Yes, small connection. How is the oil looking? Oil is coming down. As we're looking at this area here for it to bounce back up to. It's bounced off support here. This has become support level 1. You've also got some areas here that was a nice support area it's come down off of. It could also be a resistance. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, these levels down here, looking to go for if it comes down to those levels. Thing is, with oil, you know, everything's going on in Iran, this could start to go up in price. At the moment, it's coming down. It did have a bounce yesterday. Sorry, on the weekly. Get with times. It did start to come down yesterday, and it's still in the red slightly today. But yeah, one to look out for a move upwards from this area down here. Looking to long it, I would say. Once it retest this area as a third go, see how it goes, see what it does. But yeah, oil, I've got a feeling will start to go up in value with what's going on in Iran. Right, BTC slightly coming down. This is the short again that I took on BTC today. So see, it had a nice little ramp up. It's hit our levels. It's bouncing off that white line here of resistance. There is no money. There really is no money above there at the moment. So what they really need to do is start to entice the shorts, which we're getting in on straight away, early, aren't we? We're getting in on those shorts nice and early. Like I said, if you're going to follow me, got financial advice, do your own research. 10% would be my re-entry to 2 to 3% of your capital in any other trade. Okay, we are going to ride this baby down to this liquidation level 89k, which will form a nice higher low on Bitcoin. So then it will entice so much money again. Up here will start to build that, and up above here as well, that they'll be able to go back up there for it. They need to build more money up there so that they can ramp it up, get people FOMOing in, so they start to buy the altcoins, and all that money will filter from BTC into the altcoins, and then we'll be going into bear market territory. This year is a very interesting year. We are pretty much reliving 2021, if you really do want to think about it. News, what's happening in the news? Financial Times. Let's refresh this page. Looks like old news from yesterday. Yeah. So investors flock to equity funds that exclude US after Trump's return to power. Yesterday's news. £2 long-term borrowing cost hit record high again. Yesterday's news. A mooted fix for the Treasury market may actually increase systemic risk, which means they're saying that people are going to be buying, which also makes me feel like, well, probably why market makers might use this as the excuse to bring the market down. So just look out for that as well. Chinese battery maker surges 16%, the biggest listing of 2025. Chinese market, it's definitely one to look at if you're thinking about investing. Polish stocks enjoy big rallies. Investors seek havens from trade war. Interesting. That one's very interesting. The geopolitical conflict over minerals may finally be a real threat. The latest set of Chinese restrictions on rare earths exports are the most worrying to date. So you can see slowly they're filtering in some bad news, which will give them the excuse to dump Bitcoin to the levels that they want. I'll show you again. Down to here, most probably build some long liquidity here. It could come down to 80k. I mean, it is still a possibility. That's still a higher low, and that bounces off the bullish triangle here that I've as long as it stays above this triangle, we are still in bull market territory. Remember that triangle is very important. Maybe I'll make this triangle blue. Should I make it blue so you can see it a bit more? No, blue. I can barely see that. Light blue is that a bit better. Stay on this bullish triangle is really, really important, I think. Stays above there, we're still in bull market territory. If it breaks here, retests it, comes down, then we're after these levels here, and then the bear market's in play. Like I said, my bear market low prediction is around the 25k area where that money is sitting. Right, so I think that will be it for today. Here's my ENA trade. Why do you keep doing this? Just go away. ENA trade on the 1 hour. Have a little bit of a wick down, that's fine. That's going to print a high. Like I said, I'm going to ride this until I get 3 reds, and then I will close it as long as it's in the green. And if I do get those and it's sitting around the indicator here, then I will be taking the shorts. But I'll keep you updated in the Telegram group. If you want to join that, link in the description below. Smash that like, hit the subscribe button, notification bell if you are enjoying this. I really, really do appreciate it. Maybe I can share my link in the comments below. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Didn't know I could do that. Yes, I can. I can do that. Okay. There we go. Right, thank you very much all for watching. Hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye for now.